She overcame slavery to become an incredible dressmaker, author, and activist. She was also a successful entrepreneur, educator, and advocate for newly freed Black Americans during and after the Civil War. We are talking about Elizabeth Lizzie Keckley, who was born into slavery in Dinwiddie County, Virginia in 1818. Elizabeth was enslaved along with her mother, Agnes Hobbs, who was a seamstress, and her both stepfather, George Pleasant Hobbs, was separated from the family when Elizabeth was young. More than likely, George was separated intentionally by being sold to another master. Elizabeth was enslaved by Colonel Burwell and his wife Mary. Colonel Burwell was Elizabeth's biological father. Elizabeth was the product of rape. Colonel Burwell, like most slave owners during slavery, raped their slaves, their female slaves, and these female slaves bore children as a result of that. Well, Elizabeth was forced to work at only 4 years old. And this is the story of many children who were born during slavery. So sad. At the age of 14 in 1832, Elizabeth was sent to live and serve her half-brother Robert Burwell when he married Margaret Anna Robertson. Margaret Anna Robertson was so jealous of Elizabeth that she pledged to make Elizabeth life's hell. When Elizabeth was 18 years of age, she was given to her half-brother's friend, Alexander M. Kirkland. She was repeatedly for 4 years by Kirkland, and due to the sexual abuse, she gave birth to her only child, a son named George Kirkland. Now here's an excerpt from Elizabeth's book regarding the sexual abuse she endured from Kirkland. For 4 years, a white man, I will spare the world his name, had base designs upon me. I do not care to dwell upon the subject, for it is one that is fraught with pain. Suffice it is to say that he persecuted me for 4 years, and I became a mother. And that's in Elizabeth Keckley's own words. And that is just heart-wrenching. Reading that excerpt also moved me because due to Elizabeth's half-brother, Robert, his wife, Margaret, being so jealous of her, poor Elizabeth, during the time that she lived with Robert, sought for relief from this torture that this woman was inflicting upon her, and it had to be hell upon earth. She tried to seek refuge with a neighbor who lived close by to her half-brother. Well, this neighbor, instead of being of any assistance, this neighbor actually made it worse because he began to just beat Elizabeth all the time. I mean, he would beat her until anymore. That's how bad he would beat her. And he would make her take off her clothes and then beat her. After doing it so many times, trying to break her spirit, and he realized he couldn't break her spirit, then he wanted to repent. So poor Elizabeth early on was just dealing with a lot of pain. More pain than most people go through in a lifetime. In 1855, Elizabeth was allowed to buy herself and her son out of slavery for $1,200, which is equivalent to about $45,000 $928 today. And she raised this money through the generosity of clients and supporters who recognized her seamstress talent. Now a free woman, Elizabeth moved to Washington, D.C., where she established herself as one of the most sought-after dressmakers among the city's elite. She was able to build a successful seamstress business due to her reputation. Her designs were elegant and sophisticated, making her the preferred seamstress for many influential women. Elizabeth quickly gained a reputation for her impeccable craftsmanship, and her clientele included the wives of senators, socialites, and most notably, First Lady Mary Todd Lincoln. Elizabeth and First Lady Lincoln had more than just a professional relationship. They were friends, especially during the most turbulent periods in American history, the Civil War. Elizabeth designed many of Mary Todd Lincoln's gowns for official events, including the elaborate dresses she wore to White House receptions and President Abraham Lincoln's second inauguration. Elizabeth made clothing in a simplified style of Victorian fashion, which was sophisticated with clean lines and without a lot of ribbon or lace. Mrs. Lincoln was known for having clothes with floral patterns, bright colors, and youthful styling. The dresses made by Elizabeth for her were more sophisticated. George Kirkland, Elizabeth's son, passed as white and was enlisted in the Union Army during the Civil War. Tragically, he was killed in battle, which was a devastating loss for Elizabeth. She rarely spoke about it, but it undoubtedly shaped the later years of her life. Now, Elizabeth, who lost her son during the Civil War battle in August 1861, was a source of strength and comfort for Mary Todd Lincoln after her son Willie died of typhoid fever in February 1862 and after President Lincoln's assassination. In 1868, Elizabeth published Behind the Scenes, or 30 Years a Slave and 4 Years in the White House. This memoir was one of the first to offer a personal perspective on both slavery and life inside the Lincoln White House. It provided an intimate look into Mary Todd Lincoln's struggles and the inner workings of the presidency during the Civil War. However, the book sparked controversy as some viewed it as a betrayal of Mary Todd Lincoln's privacy. Robert Lincoln convinced the publisher to halt production of the book, which he felt was an embarrassment to his family. The book was published again in the early 1900s. The backlash from the book led to Elizabeth losing favor among Washington's elite, and her business suffered as a result. So Elizabeth founded the Ladies' Freedmen and Soldiers Relief Association, which provided food, clothing, and education to formerly enslaved individuals. In 1892, Elizabeth was offered a faculty position at Wilberforce University as head of the Department of Sewing and Domestic Science, and moved to Ohio. The following year, she held an exhibit at the Chicago World's Fair representing Wilberforce. Due to a mild stroke, she resigned in 1893. In the later years of her life, Elizabeth faced financial struggles and faded from public life. She spent her final years at the National Home for Destitute Colored Women and Children in Washington, D.C., where she passed away in 1907. Despite the challenges she faced, Elizabeth Keckley's legacy endures as a testament to resilience, talent, and the pursuit of excellence. She was a fashion innovator, an advocate for racial equality, and a witness to some of the most pivotal moments in American history. In 2022, Sarah Jessica Parker, best known for her role as Carrie on Sex and the City, wore a dress to the Met Gala based on one of Elizabeth's designs from 1862 that she designed for Mary Todd Lincoln. Her life story continues to inspire, highlighting the power of perseverance and the impact of Black women in shaping history. Hats off to Elizabeth Keckley. What a remarkable woman who went through so much and gave so much.